Why do you think that Europe is lagging behind other parts of the world when it comes to supply diversity and inclusive procurement?
Yeah. So, a little bit of history about supply diversity. I know when you talk about in Europe, it sounds like it's such a new topic, but
Mm-hmm.
it's been around for 50 years. It started in the US after the civil rights movement. South Africa after apartheid, so 30 years ago. In the UK, 20 years ago. But here I find when I moved to Europe, diversity was still so fixated just on gender and
Mm-hmm.
and diversity within the workplace, and
Still
the
is.
biggest, yeah, it still is. And that was for me like, oh, I always looked at Europe so progressive, and it is on many aspects, but definitely not when it comes to diversity. That's why a big passion of mine is education and awareness. That's the way to unlock it. We're still new here, and ESDP is now just 1 year old. And I find that whenever you talk about race, ethnicity in Europe, it's a very uncomfortable topic. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you have to get uncomfortable to get uncomfortable. So I urge everyone to educate themselves about it, to understand it rather than making assumptions. And why it's also harder to get it off the ground here is because you have policies in place in the US, in the UK, and South Africa. Here, it's a nice to have. It's dependent on company values to actually drive it forward. And now, with this past month of shakeups, you can see the companies that have the stronger values that really
Mm-hmm.
want to push it. So there's still a lot of work to be done. Ideally, you would have to have companies to have it as part of their DNA, and senior leadership is the one that's going to be driving it forward. As much as your ERGs want to have, will push it forward, it has to be made a decision at the top, and I'm not seeing enough of that right now.
Yeah.